excited to join us, Mr. Dowski. Good to see you, man. Got two real old-timers here. I'm telling you what, more experience in this courtroom than probably any other room in the building.
All right, let's begin. Is Lily Sheffield
I believe she's in the movie.
ready?
She's approaching, Judge. She's here at Maine.
All right. Ms. Sheffield is before the court on a possession of drug paraphernalia charge, and then charges 2 and 3 are misdemeanor capuses. Those are municipal ordinance violations. And let's see. What does Ms. Sheffield want to do today?
Judge, in speaking to Ms. Sheffield, I did talk to her about the state offense on count 1. She wishes to resolve that matter, and I know as a friend of the court, she's probably going to be asking if the court would also consider resolving counts 2 and 3.
All right, State, do you have an offer for Ms. Sheffield?
Just time served people here. Yeah, time server on the misdemeanor. I can't tell you anything about the city charges,
I know.
Judge. But on count 1, the paraphernalia, time served is fine with the state.
All right. All right, Ms. Sheffield, if you wish to resolve the case, I'll sentence you to adjudication, time served on all counts, if that's what you would choose to do.
She wishes to accept
All
the
right,
court's and the
please,
state's offer.
please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. And Ms. Sheffield, do you understand the offers that has been extended to you today?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you to resolve your case?
No.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No.
Do you need any more time to speak with your attorney?
No.
Do you understand, ma'am, that you have a right to go to trial, but by taking a plea today, you are giving up that right?
Yes.
Have you ever been treated for mental or emotional illness?
No.
And do you understand, ma'am, that if you are not a U.S. citizen, that by taking a plea today, it could subject you to deportation or immigration changes?
Yes.
All right, what plea do you wish to enter at this time?
No contest.
All right, I accept your no contest plea. I find that it's freely and voluntarily given. As to all 3 charges, your sentence is adjudication and time served. Good luck. Josephine Gentile.
Ms. Genfield, come on up, please.
All right, hello, it's been posted. All right, Ms. Gentile, you're before the court on a DUI, alcohol or drugs. Number 2 is a traffic infraction not for magistrate. I find probable cause, and I've been advised that your bond has been posted, okay?
Good luck, ma'am.
Giselle Ramos,
Paul Ryan, Your Honor.
okay? All right, Ms. Ramos, you're before the court on a petty theft charge,
Yes.
and I find probable cause.
Your Honor, Ms. Ramos would like to resolve this charge this afternoon if possible.
All right, State, do you have an offer for Ms. Ramos?
I'm sorry, adjudication time served is,
Okay,
and it looks like the merchandise was recovered, so there wouldn't be any loss to the store.
okay. All right.
Is that what you'd like to do, Ms. Ramos?
Yes, please.
Do you have any further questions you want to ask me?
No, I don't really understand much how this works, so I trust you that
I know.
you will choose the better for me.
All right, well, the judge is going to have some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right, first, your sentence is going to be, there's going to be a conviction on your record and the time served, so if there's nothing else holding you in custody, you'll be done today. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And also, this is a petty theft charge. It says it's the first, but you also need to know that 2 more of those and you'll be looking at a felony no matter what the dollar amount is, okay? Do you understand that?
I didn't understand the last one.
If you get 2 more petty theft charges, at least if you get, right, the third one is going to be a felony charge.
No, again, like this? No, it will not happen again. No.
Okay,
It was a huge, big mistake.
all right, then please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you
I
can
swear.
put your hand down. And is anyone forcing you to resolve your case?
No.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No.
Do you need any more time to speak with your attorney?
No, I think he told me everything, yeah.
Okay, and you understand that you do have the right to go to trial, but by taking a plea today, you are giving up that right.
Yeah, that I don't understand much, but yes.
Well, you can go to trial, is what I'm saying. You have this
Okay.
charge. If the state files the charges, you can go to trial. But if you take a plea today, which is, we're in the middle of taking the plea, once you're done taking the plea, you've given up that right to go to trial. Do you understand
Okay.
that?
Okay, yes, no,
All
I
right.
understand.
And have you ever been treated for mental or emotional illness?
No,
And do you understand, ma'am, that if you are not a U.S. citizen, that by taking a plea today, it could subject you to deportation or immigration changes?
yes,
All right, what plea do you wish to enter at this time? Guilty or no contest?
no, no contest, no contest.
All right, I accept your no contest plea. I find that it's freely and voluntarily given, and your sentence is adjudication and time served. Good luck, ma'am.
All right, Giselle, I'm still going to be rooting for Boca Juniors, though.
And I will really think if I change my team or not, I swear. I'm considering. Thank
All
you so
right,
much.
Leslie Pinkney.
Also, Paul Ryan.
All right, Ms. Pinkney, you're before the court. The first charge is attaching a registration license plate not assigned. And then 2 through 6 are traffic capuses that were issued.
Correct.
All right, there was a capus issued April 18th of this year. And then there's another one, they're both April 18th of this year.
Judge,
That was,
Hold on just one second, Ms. Pinckney.
okay.
Judge, I was going to ask the court to consider pretrial release. I know that 5 of the 6 charges are capiases, but I did speak with Ms. Pinckney, and she indicated to me that she will be coming back to court. She's a lifelong Florida resident. I don't believe she has any prior contacts with the criminal justice system other than license-related issues. She has a job. She works at a company called Garda. It's a banking operation, and she is a dispatcher there. She's had that job since the beginning of the year. She has 2 children, aged 25 and 14. She had some college. She went to Broward College, and she does not own. She rents. Her rent is about $795 a month. She makes about $1,700 a month. I don't believe she has any reason to flee, and she indicated to me that, to quote her directly, she's tired of it, and she knows she has to get her license straightened out.
But the question that I have, though, these 2 cases are 2015 case and a 2016 case. What's been going on all this time?
I'm sorry, may I speak?
That's up to you and your attorney, but,
Yes, don't talk about the facts of the case, but if you want to explain why so much time has passed between the time that these cases came to exist and today, you can do that.
Right, what I did was I personally, I went and petitioned the courts, so that I could start getting it taken care of, because like I said, I am tired of this. I'm tired of running from it. And I went and I petitioned the courts, and I had court February 14th, which was our Valentine's Day of this year. During that time, I was supposed to go back. I was scheduled to go back in April. But during the time that all of that occurred, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and it's all on record. I was put into a shelter for women's for domestic violence, and throughout that time, I've been rebuilding my life, and I forgot. I truly forgot about it, because I'm just trying to live. And that's the truth.
You can assure the court, Ms. Pinckney, that if the judge is inclined to place you on pretrial release, that there won't be any more capiases issued for you.
No more. I'm tired of it. I'm tired.
Judge, unless the state can show, and I don't believe there is any reason to believe that they can, that Ms. Pinckney has any type of extensive criminal history other than license issues involved, similar to the one before the court today, or the ones before the court today. Again, she was very candid and forthcoming with me, and I'd ask the court again to consider pretrial release for her.
Okay.
Judge,
Alright,
just
yes.
real quick, she has apparently a very poor driving record. She's getting behind the wheel. She has a capias from 2015 and then creates a case in 2016. So that capias would have had to have been outstanding at the time of the 2016 offense. And then she, to quote the defendant herself, she's tired of running from it. So the state would just point out, it's not necessarily what her criminal history is that this is now going to be at least her third time before a judge related to these issues, and she's better off either resolving them while she's in custody, is the state's position.
Oh,
All right,
I'm sorry.
it's your choice, and so whether you resolve it or not, and nobody's forcing you to do that, so that was just a suggestion. If that's what you wanted to do, there could be an offer available to you. Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you, Ms. Pinckney. I am going to give you the benefit of the doubt and ROR
Thank you.
you to pretrial. You now have 3 cases that you need to deal with, and they're traffic matters, and I don't know why your license is suspended, but, I think it's time now to deal with these
Correct.
issues. So, ROR to pretrial, today is Friday, and so
Right.
you're not gonna get out in time to get to the pretrial office, so Monday morning, you need to be there. And if you,
Okay.
the deputy is going to give you the information for the pretrial office,
Okay,
and Monday morning, you need to show up and sign up, and if you don't do that, a warrant will be issued for your arrest.
okay.
Judge,
Okay.
if you could just kindly note the state's objection, please.
State's objection is noted.
Thank you, Judge. Good luck,
Thank
Leslie.
you. Thank you.
Victoria Adams,
North Broward.
all right, Ms. Adams is before the court. Charge 1 and 2, fleeing and eluding law enforcement. Number 3, resisting officer without violence. Number 4, driving while license suspended. Number 5 is the same charge, driving while license suspended. Number 6, reckless driving. Number 7, expired vehicle registration. Number 8 is windscreen infraction. Number 9 is improper backing. Those are both traffic infractions. Number 10 is no proof of current insurance. And I find probable cause for all these charges.
Your Honor, I'm going to be asking the court to consider pretrial release for Ms. Adams. And I think one of the reasons that, and I'm not making a probable cause argument, but it appears as though this really was one incident where she initially fled from the officer, allegedly, according to the report, and then when the officer re-engaged pursuit at a later time, she again fled. And so I understand that that's why there are 2 counts, but it really all seems to be intertwined in the same event. And I believe she stated to the officer that the reason that she fled was because she knew that she did not have a valid license. She has been a resident of Florida for all of her life. She's been living in the same location for the last 2 years. She lives with her father. She doesn't have any extensive criminal history, from what I'm advised. I did leave a message for her father. Unfortunately, he has not called me back. She's also provided me with the number of her grandmother and her mother, but she's not, Miss Adams is not convinced that her family is going to be able to come up with the kind of money that would be required to bond her out of jail on this case. But since she is a lifelong resident and doesn't appear to have an extensive history, I would ask the court to consider pretrial release.
What does Ms. Adams, does she have a criminal history?
She has 2 misdemeanors related to one case, Judge, possession of cannabis and another DWLS, out of one incident.
Okay,
And I'd just like, as the court's aware, because you found probable cause, that, putting other drivers and civilians at risk at a high-speed chase through traffic is something that I think the court should frown on. So I'd ask you just to leave the bond as is.
Yeah, so Ms. Adams and I had a discussion about that, and she understands, I think, the error in judgment that she made by fleeing from the police. She is 18. She's trying to get back into school and better her life. And, I mean, if she's on pretrial release, she will have that holding over her head. Whereas if she doesn't report on Monday morning, or if she fails to contact pretrial release, or certainly, as I explained to her very clearly, she better not be driving, then, I think that she's not a flight risk. And as long as she's not driving, I don't think she's a threat to the community. But she knows, and we talked about this for an extensive period of time before court this afternoon, that she cannot be behind the wheel of a car until such time as she has a valid driver's license.
Well, here's the concern that I have. First, the tag has been expired since February of this year. And then what the observations by the police officer is that she was making several lane changes without using signal and cutting off other vehicles. Then when she came to a red light at the intersection of Wiles and University, she entered the left turn lane, but then made a illegal right turn, and then, that just, one thing just escalated from one thing to the next. And I understand that this is all on one day, but it just seems a little bit extreme for all of a sudden the first time. So, I will reduce the bond on 1 and 2 to $1,000, and then I'm gonna leave the other standard bonds in place.
All right, Victoria, I'm going to try and contact your family, all right?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Deborah McKenzie,
Reset.
medical reset. Christian Osorio,
Mr. Osorio is here, President Judge Maney is approaching, come on up, sir.
all right, Mr. Osorio is before the court on 3 misdemeanor cases, 2 of which were issued January 8 of 2018, and both of them are petty theft charges. And then the third one was issued March 15th of 2018. And that capias was issued because he did not show up for arraignment on a charge of defrauding innkeeper. And I find probable cause.
Judge, in speaking to Mr. Osorio, he's not in a financial position to post the monetary bonds. When I looked in Odyssey, and I just confirmed with Mr. Osorio, he never received a notice in the mail telling him to come to court for his arraignment. I believe when I checked in Odyssey, especially in reference to count 3, I believe there was a return letter from the clerk's office indicating that he was never served with the notice to appear for his arraignment. Just from what he advises me, he just moved into a new apartment with his girlfriend. They had to come up with first, last, and security deposit. So anything that had any savings, anything of any kind, went towards that. So right now, him nor his girlfriend are in a position to go ahead and post any sort of monetary bond. Now, he is working. He works for a company called Aces Barber Company, where he's been employed there for 5 years. Judge, he's asking to be released on supervision on these misdemeanor nonviolent offenses.
Well, does Mr. Osorio have any other criminal history?
He has a 2002 driving while suspended license misdemeanor conviction and a 2010 fleeing and eluding, which he was on probation, violated, and got convicted, along with resisting without violence and another driving while license suspended out of that same incident.
He also has priors out of Palm Beach.
Has a priors what?
Out of Palm Beach, simple battery, resisting without violence, and petty theft in 2017. 2015, he had an assault. 2010, he had a DUI. 2006, this is up Palm Beach, a grand theft. 2005, possession of controlled substance.
All right, and, so it's not like Mr. Osorio does not understand how the system works. So I don't know why he would not show up for court when he was supposed to. So I am gonna leave these bonds in place. The nature of the charges are pretty similar, plus he has priors. So he can, go before his division judges on these charges. Stephen McMahon,
Your Honor, he's in North Broward, Judge. He's going to require a sign interpreter. Now, I did call the interpreter's office, and I understand Mr. McMahon probably can't hear what I'm saying right now, but they're going to be letting me know, hopefully within the next few minutes, whether or not they're going to be able to get someone today.
well,
And if somebody can come tomorrow, because I'd hate to see him wait till Monday.
from past experience, well, but he speaks. He just can't hear.
That's what I am advised, Your Honor. And
Liberty did the big fight, right? You read the judge's lips. Yes.
All right, so we can get, if we can get them for tomorrow, because I know they're not gonna be here by 2 o'clock.
No, they're not going to be here by 2
So-
o'clock. That's almost a given.
Yeah, so let's reset it for tomorrow.
All right, I'll let
And-
them know,
And
Judge.
have them here tomorrow.
Also, we have a Spanish interpreter on the way also.
All right, so we'll have Mr. McMahon before the court tomorrow with a sign language interpreter.
Hey, what's going on? The gentleman who needs the
All
sign
right,
language.
Daniel
the judge
Rose?
is just, resetting for tomorrow.
Come on up, Mr. Rose.
All right, Mr. Rose is before the court on a trespassing charge, and I find probable cause.
Judge, I'm speaking, Mr. Rose, just to resolve this matter today.
Does Mr. Rose have a pending, charges?
I show that he has a petty theft that was filed from 2018, and then he has a plea at magistrates from 2015 to resisting without violence.
Oh, okay.
Is that Rose? No, wait.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong.
Yeah, I see a trespass from 2019, from August, and he does have a pending, another case, Your Honor, from August 23rd.
That's why I asked, because he does look familiar.
Yes.
So, he has two other pending
No,
charges?
just one.
Just one?
One pending, one prior.
One pending, one prior. And what's the pending charge?
Let me check, just double check what it is.
The prior was a trespass.
Okay,
But it was a different location, Judge.
okay.
The rest of the previous was 1780, for the trespass, yeah. 1780 Sterling Road. What was this in?
This is in Fort Lauderdale, that'd be
All right.
Hollywood.
This is, a city of Fort Lauderdale case, and Mr. Rose, I haven't been before this court, this year. Community court is available on some of the state charges. These are misdemeanor charges. Does Mr. Rose wish to participate in community court?
Let me ask him, Judge.
I'm sorry, did you tell me what the pending charge was? I know you said the prior one is trespassing, but the pending one is what?
The pending,
Trespassing.
Is it also trespassing? Okay,
And I was talking to him as far as community control, he wanted to know, community court, he wanted to know where it was. I told him city in Fort Lauderdale. I told him you would have to do what they're telling you, but the benefit of it is they would drop the case, and that's something he's interested in, Judge.
all right, well, if he's willing to do that, I will sign the order to transfer him to community court. And I'll let you know, Mr. Rose, that means that on Wednesday of next week, you have to show up at City Hall and sign up, and you will see Judge Barner or some other, whichever other judges there. They have services that are available that you can take advantage of right there in the room. And so you need to, jump on it. And if you don't show up, there's going to be a warrant issued for your arrest, and you'll be back here. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, what is it, 100 Andrews Avenue? All right.
I'm writing the address down,
And they
Judge.
start at 9 a.m. 11, I'm sorry. So I don't even have to get up early. They start at 11. And you show up over there, and we're gonna sign an order saying that we're transferring this case. But I'm telling you, if you don't show up, the case is gonna be right back here, and there's gonna be a warrant issued for your arrest. Understand that? Okay,
Yes, Your Honor.
all right. So I'll ROR him, and he has to go to community court. Sorry, I see everybody waiting to ROR. All right, Daniel Perez.
North Broward. Mr. Perez would like to resolve this matter this afternoon, if he can.
Mr. Perez is, is that a snore or is that a breathing problem?
What is the problem?
It's a gas station.
No, I'm talking about,
Oh. It's been a long day.
all right, Mr. Perez is before the court on a trespassing charge, and I find probable cause. And what does Mr. Perez want to do?
He would like to resolve the matter today, Judge.
All right. All right, does the state have an offer for Mr. Perez?
You can time serve Mr. Perez. He's got this is the gentleman that had the 2015 resisting without violence, and it looks like he has a pending 18 petty theft. That's what it says on this sheet of paper.
yeah, I don't know, it says, it might be pending, I'm not sure. It says, yeah, it is pending.
Pending petty theft?
He does.
I can, if I can reach his father, Mr. Perez indicated that his father would probably be willing to come down and post his $25 bond.
Did he post a bond on that petty theft charge?
Yeah, he was, the new charge was, he bonded out, and there was an ROR on the second petty theft from a North Satellite case.
Okay, how much bond did he post?
$100.
All right.
I don't know how the court wants to proceed, but, if we're not going to be able to resolve it today, then I would ask the court to consider releasing Mr. Perez on his own recognizance. He's already out on a bond that's 4 times higher than the bond that he's looking at on this case.
All right, Mr. Perez, I'll ROR you on this charge, sir, but you cannot return to the Shell gas station in Southwest Ranches. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right, Elaine Carey?
He's here, present, Judge.
All right, I don't know, what am I to say? This hasn't even been 24 hours. So,
Judge, I understand, and I think Mr. Carey, when he came up to me, he was very disappointed in himself. Having said that, Judge, it's a petty theft. There's a reason behind it. It's not for today. He has an address now. So, Judge, I know yesterday you took a chance on him with standard. We're asking for level 2.
all right, let me start from the top. Mr. Carey, you're before the court today on a petty theft charge, and I find probable cause.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
you placed him on pretrial yesterday in case number 1910754, CF 10A, driving while license suspended habitual. Pretrial is asking that you revoke his pretrial.
And just so we can reflect remind ourselves, refresh our recollection, what kind of criminal history does Mr. Carey have?
It is, goes back to an 07 DUI, 2016 DWLS habitual felony offender where he was placed on probation or community control and then he eventually violated. 2016 petty theft, 2017 petty theft, 2016 grand theft auto with possession of cocaine and the habitual offender DWLS, all in one case. A 17 grand theft.
This is the one, Your Honor, what we thought he was gonna be on probation, that, he had just finished his sentencing of the 270 days. And then so he finished his probation right after his sentencing, after he spent time from 4/18.
I guess the probation was suspended after it completed.
Right, remember,
time in
yes.
jail.
He had 3 cases of that.
So then he picked up in 18, the grand theft, the possession of utilone, possession of cocaine, and another possession of utilone, and, those were the cases that you just were told he had 270 days, and apparently you're familiar with him of his most recent contact with the court.
All right, so, here's the thing. You had a criminal history. Yesterday, my consideration was it was a driving charge, and you had just completed a sentence. And so I allowed you I agreed to the pretrial supervision. To my surprise, I'm reading the probable cause affidavits this afternoon before I took the bench, and I'm like, didn't I just let Mr. Carey out? And I did. And the date of incident is less than 24 hours for your release. You didn't even have time to go report this morning to pretrial. And here you're before the court because whatever the story is, I have to go by the probable cause affidavit that's before me that you grabbed 3 cases of Corona beer and walked out of the store. Those are the allegations that I have to deal with. So you have shown, Mr. Carey, I believe that I cannot trust you to be out on pretrial. I'm going to revoke your pretrial on the driving while license suspended charge. I am going to impose a $2,000 bond on that charge. Okay. And as to this petty theft charge that's before the court, I am going to raise your bond to $500. All right. Okay, the Spanish interpreter is here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who needed the Spanish interpreter again?
The last case on the regular docket, Leandro Vasquez, and he is in Conte.
Stand right here. Stand right here.
All right, Mr. Vasquez,
Señor Vázquez,
you're before the court today for an add charge of an immigration hold.
está aquí ante el tribunal por un cargo agregado de una detención de parte de petición de inmigración.
This is a no bond hold that is placed by the Department of Homeland Security.
Esta es una detención sin fianza que es impuesto por el Departamento de Inmigración Nacional.
Sir, I find probable cause,
Señor, dictamino que existe motivo fundado
and you will have to appear before an immigration judge on this charge.
y por este cargo va a tener que comparecer ante un juez de inmigración.
All right, good luck, sir.
Suerte, señor.
All right, is there anyone else who needs a Spanish interpreter?
¿Alguien más que requiere intérprete en español?
All right, thank you, Mr. Simmons.
You're welcome, yeah. No. You too, likewise.
All right, Paul Johnson.
Conti again.
All right, Mr. Johnson, you're before the court on some additional charges today. 12 through 16. Number 12 is burglary, unoccupied conveyance unarmed. Number 13, false owner info for pawn items. Number 14, dealing in stolen property. Number 15 and 16 are felony violation of probation. Those have no bond holds. I find probable cause, and I'll impose a bond of $1,000 on 12. And then the other standard bonds will remain in place, and you will see your division judge on Monday at 8:30. Okay? Junior Herrera.
Mr. Herrera is here, present judge at Maine. He declined the services of public defender. He's going to hire his own attorney. Come on up, Mr. Herrera.
All right, Mr. Herrera, you understand that you are entitled to counsel at this stage of the proceedings?
Yes, ma'am.
And you plan on hiring private counsel, is that correct?
I was trying to hire one, but it seems that maybe he can. I can't get in contact with my lawyer.
Okay. Well, are you declining the services of the public defender's office?
No, I want their service.
Judge, can I have a moment with him?
Sure.
Have a seat.
All right, Frisner Simeon.
The judge is approaching, and he also declined the service of public defender.
All right, Mr. Simeon, is it correct that you do not wish to use the services of the public defender's office?
Well, I didn't.
Why is it that every
think I
time
need-
I ask a question, every time I ask a question, there's a different response?
I didn't think I need a public defender. I mean, I just figure what I'm here for is going to be done with today. So probably, I think maybe the ticket I got, I would need a private lawyer for it. So that's why I say I didn't need no.
Well, what you have before the court today cannot be resolved today because it's a third-degree felony. That's the first thing. Okay, and we cannot resolve felony charges at first appearance. So knowing that, you can still represent yourself here today and hire your private attorney, or you can use the services of the public defender's office. That's your choice, but it's not something you can resolve here today.
Okay, I'll choose the private public defender.
All right, I'll recall your case. Yes?
Thank you. Thank you.
Aaron Underwood?
Mr. Underwood, come on up, please.
All right, Mr. Underwood, you're before the court for one charge of possession of heroin, and I find probable cause.
Judge, I went over Mr. Underwood as far as the standard bond, which is currently in place. We're going to ask the court to consider releasing Mr. Underwood straight ROR. Now, my understanding, Judge, he's relocated down here to South Florida. He's been
All
here for
right,
7 months.
hold on, Mr. Romero. A pretrial is standing up over here, waving at me.
Okay, he's currently on pretrial for possession of fentanyl in case number 193796 CF10A. Pretrial is asking that you revoke his pretrial at this time.
When was he placed on pretrial?
He was placed on March 21st of this year. And one moment. Let me just double check. It doesn't, aside from failing to appear a couple of times, it does not seem that he's had any other issues, and it shows that he was in treatment as of last month, at least.
Is this case in drug court?
Let me double check. Judge Us, oh yes, with Judge Usan, drug court.
No, but
That's what it shows in the Odyssey, as drug court above the pending status.
on Judge Uson, it's not the drug court judge.
Usually it's Tobin Singer that you see, but it says here drug court. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be transferred there or transferred.
No, Mr.
Transferred back.
He was in
Sent
Tobin
back.
Singer.
They could have kicked him out already because it was new arrest and transferred him back to the regular division. I don't, that's just a hypothesis.
That could be it, because he did appear before Tobin Singer in June, and then afterwards, they started putting it under Judge Usan. He had a
Okay.
capias issued in Judge Tobin Singer. He failed to appear in court.
All right, well, it looks like Mr. Underwood is not going to be a good candidate for ROR, for more than one reason. All right.
I understand. Would you
So-
sign a phone order as well?
I will sign the phone order. I am going to grant the order revoking his pretrial on case number 19-3796 CF10A. I'm going to impose $1,000 bond there. And on the new arrest for the possession of heroin, I'll leave that $1,000 bond in place. Okay? Lemuel Forbes,
Mr. Forbes, come on up, please.
Mr. Forbes is before the court on charge 1 is burglary, unoccupied structure unarmed. Number 2 is the same, burglary, unoccupied structure unarmed. Number 3, petty theft. And number 4, resisting officer without violence. And I find probable cause. And I'll hear from the parties as to bond. And priors.
I have Mr. Ford on priors. 2013, a series of petty thefts and criminal mischief. Then he has a felony, which he was placed on probation or community control, which was eventually revoked, and he got 364 for a burglary and resisting without violence. 2014, he was time served on a trespass. 2014, he was on a battery felony by domestic violence strangulation. He was on probation or community control for that and it got revoked, and he was sentenced to prison for 48 months. And then he picked up, I guess, does he have a pending trespass? 2019, it says a trespass had been filed against him this year. And then, of course, these charges.
Okay?
Judge, Mr. Ford requesting to be released on pretrial release. Now, he's been here his whole entire life. My understanding, Judge, he's currently looking for work. He just lost his job. He was employed. He was working at the Wing House as a cook, where he was making $11 an hour, but now he's looking for employment. Now, he lives in North Lauder. He has a mailing address where he can receive future court notices to make sure he comes back to court, but unfortunately, he's homeless. So that's why he's asking the court to consider releasing him under supervision with pretrial release.
Something just around my desk.
Just to reiterate, Judge, he did pick up these particular charges while out on bond on the misdemeanor charge. Plus, this gentleman, he got revoked twice on supervision, and the last time resulted in a 48-month prison sentence.
All right, I'm gonna deny pretrial at this time. I will impose a $1,500 bond on 1 and 2. And then the other standard bonds will remain in place and no return to this location. Lindsay Lawton,
Mr. Lawton, I've been advised bonded, Judge.
okay? And then Austin Schutz,
I believe it's North Broward, Judge. And I think Mr. Schutz will be inquiring as to whether or not his bond has been posted.
all right, Mr. Schultz, they're checking, but while they're checking, you're before the court today for one charge of grand theft auto. Number 2 is resisting officer without violence. Number 3 is operating without a valid driver's license. And I find probable cause, and confinement is indicating that it's not showing yet that your bond has been posted. So
Okay.
I'll leave the $1,000 bond in place. Okay? Joseph Garcia.
He's approaching, Judge. Your name?
Mr. Garcia's? All right. So Mr. Garcia is before the court on one charge of possession of cocaine. Number 2 is driving while license suspended. First offense, I find probable cause, and I've also been told that your bond has been posted.
We heard the good news. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. And Michael Walker. Mr. Walker is on medical loan. Okay.
And we're ready to proceed on Mr. Junior Herrera, Judge.
Okay.
He's approaching, Judge.
Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Herrera is before the court on a possession of cocaine charge is number 1. Number 2 is driving while license suspended. Number 3 is no tag light which is a traffic infraction and not for magistrate. I find probable cause and,
Judge, and speaking of Mr. Herrera, my understanding, I just found this out, and I'm sure the state will confirm whether or not it's true. He said this is his first contact with the criminal justice system, his first arrest. Now, he's been living in our community since 2012. He's 45 years old. He's worked. He's been working for the same employer for almost like 6 years. It's called Miami Auto Works. He lives in Plantation, Judge, where he's been renting at a motel for a couple weeks now. But right now, from what he advised me, there's no one he can contact to help post his monetary bond. So what I'm going to ask, considering if it's true, this is his first contact with the criminal justice system. This is not a violent offense. He says he's coming back to court. I do not believe he's a flight risk. I'm asking if the court would consider an ROR on Mr. Herrera's behalf.
all right, state, is any prayers?
I just see traffic cases, Your Honor.
From multiple counties, but they're all traffic related.
All right. All right, so I'll ROR Mr. Herrera. Sir, I'm gonna put him on standard pretrial supervision. And that's going to include random drug testing. All right, Mr. Herrera, you need to report to the pretrial office by Monday morning, and failure to do so, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'll also be on random drug testing. You understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Prisoner Simeon, are you ready with him?
No, I just need one more minute with him.
So can we start with the hearing docket?
Yes, sir.
All right, Jimmy Mathis.
All right, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am. All right.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Mathis was arrested, looks like he was arrested in July and then a second arrest on August 3rd. Has the information been filed?
No, Your Honor, he's entitled to an ROR.
All right, so Mr. Mathis, the state has not formally filed the charges, so.
He has
as
two
a-
cases, I'm sorry.
There's,
There's 2 cases for him.
are they both
They're both drug-
unfiled?
They're both unfiled, yes.
All right. So, the state has not formally filed the charges on, these arrests, so at this time you are entitled to be released. I will sign that order. They are felony charges, sir, so it does not mean that the state can't file the charges after this. They're felony charges, so they have up to 175 days to do that. So even after you're released, you need to check in with your attorney if you have one, or check with the clerk's office so you can see if you have to come back to court. You understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, and so that's for both cases.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Daniel Judge,
Conti, Your Honor.
It's just, that's why. That's okay.
all right, I believe, Mr. Judge, is Mr. Judge in a SAP program?
Your Honor, he's, has
But-
not been filed,
The information has been filed?
has not.
Okay.
He's entitled for an RR.
All right, so Mr. Judge, the state has not formally filed the charges, so I will sign that order granting your ROR at this time.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
All right? You need to stay in touch with your attorneys, because I believe you are represented by the Public Defender's Office.
Yes.
All right? Yeah? He has a what?
Out of state.
He has an out-of-state hold? Because that's what I remember. I remember Mr. Miller asking me to sign an order for him to go into the SAP program. So does he want me to sign that order granting the ROR? Since he's in custody on you have an out-of-state hold.
Yes, I
And-
understand that.
And so granting the ROR today means that you're gonna stop getting credit for time served on this charge.
Yeah, I wanted to put the wheels in motion on Minnesota coming to pick me
All
up.
right, just as long as you understand that, okay?
Yes.
All right, Carl Pachala? Yes.
Judge, he's here present, Mr. Charlie, come on. And Judge, whenever the court is ready,
gotta
we're
talk to
ready
his
to proceed on
attorney.
Mr. Prisoner Simeon.
All right, so is this Mr. Pachala that's before us?
Yes, Judge, yes,
All
yes,
right.
ma'am.
And he was arrested September 3rd, so he is back for a second look at it on his bond status. He has $1,000 bond. And,
That is correct, Judge. When he came here before you on the 3rd, which I believe was on Wednesday, I did not make a bond request. He gave me the phone number of his friend Richard. I spoke with Richard, and unfortunately, he wasn't in a position to post his monetary bond, so he in turn referred me to a different friend, and I spoke to her, and she's not in a position to post Mr. Pachala's bond as well. And speaking of Mr. Pachala, today I did inform him of what happened as far as my conversations with his friends. He has a place to stay. Judge, he's been here for the past 15 years. He's 64 years old. My understanding is next month he's going to be eligible. He's going to be applying to receive a Social Security. Now, where he lives, he's basically the handyman. So the landlord lets him stay there for free, and in turn, he goes ahead and basically fixes up the place, does whatever needs to be done in the premises. He's a veteran. He served in the United States Marine Corps. He served from 1968 to 1971. Now, he does have prior contact with the criminal justice system, but it's been a couple of years, Judge. So we're asking the court at this time to consider releasing Mr. Pachala on pretrial release, and in his case, we wouldn't object to have him be subject to random drug testing.
okay.
Is this the top?
Yeah, that's
That's what-
1386.
Yeah, but I would leave. She wants to know. I'm gonna start from the top.
All right, I will release Mr. Pachala to pretrial with random drug testing.
Thank you, Your Honor. The map and listen to the judge's interview.
Mr. Pachala, you need to make sure that you go to the pretrial office on Monday, okay?
Yes, sir.
And if you don't report, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And also, I am asking pretrial to do random drug testing, during the pendency of this case,
That's okay.
okay? All right, good luck, sir.
Good luck, sir.
Okay. And then Jakala Kinsey.
I'm sorry, Judge, who did you call?
Do we have you have Jakala Kinsey? Huh? She bonded? Okay,
Yeah, Bond.
all right. And, what do you want? Do we still need to write bonded, Madam Clerk, on this order? All right, Brian Kirk.
Mr. Kirk is here present, Judge, and Amy's approaching. Come on up, Mr. Kirk.
All right, Mr. Kirk was arrested on September 3rd, so this is a second look at his bond status. He has a total of $750 bond.
That is correct,
What
Judge.
else is
I
going
did,
on with Mr. Kirk?
I did ask the court to consider releasing Mr. Kirk on pretrial release. I don't, the court didn't agree. He's still here. I'm going to be renewing my request now. He's been here his whole entire life. He's 37 years old. He works part-time in landscaping. The new information that I got from him today is he managed to get enrolled in a program called OIC. He was trying to explain to me, but what they do, one of the great benefits of that program is they'll pay for his first month living in a sober house. He wants to know if the court would consider letting him out on pretrial release so he can find the sober house where he could go and reside at. He will be supervised by pretrial, Judge, but there's no one that's going to be able to help post his bond. So on this nonviolent offense, we're asking the court to consider releasing him on pretrial.
When did he get approved for this OIC program?
Let the court know as far as the OIC program, the particulars.
Well, what it is I was enrolled last time I was incarcerated with a lady named Karen Perry. She's a manager. She says as long as I'm sober, which I was out there, according to what happened, my father and my mother, they just passed away, so I went and got a beer.
Who is
But-
this Karen person?
She's the manager of OIC on Oakland and Powerline by Lowe's. And she said even if I have a job, she'll still pay the $700 rent.
Do you have a
And I shouldn't
number?
have a problem getting a job because I already talked to,
Do you have a number for this Karen person?
I might.
You do?
Yeah, it's OIC of Broward County Incorporated, right by Lowe's, right across the street from Lowe's, like you just said, Mr. Kirk. It's 954-563-3535.
Judge, whenever you're ready, I'll tell you his extensive criminal history.
All right, let me try and make a phone call to Karen. Good afternoon. This is Judge Jackie Powell. I'm calling from the Broward County Courthouse. Is this Karen? Thank you.
I'm sorry, the call was not answered. To try another extension, enter it now. To leave a message, press 1. To exit, press the star key. For assistance, press 0. Transferring to extension 500. 1 moment, please.
All right. Is there anyone else that can provide information in regards to a resident or possible resident?
That program, all of everyone is out of the office at the moment, so you can see that caseload for the client.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. All right, State, you were going to tell me what now?
His extensive criminal history.
Okay.
It's going to be a little over 2 pages, but it's going to start back in 2000. He's got a burglary and a grand theft conviction. He was placed on supervision for that particular 2 felony offenses, and he violated, and he was given 36 months in prison. Then it goes on to 2002, possession of cocaine, convicted, 24 months in prison. 2004, misdemeanor cannabis. 2005, resisting without violence and loitering and prowling. 2005, again, improper exhibition of a weapon, where he did 364 in the county. 2007, he had a trespass, and a trespass. All were time served at magistrate. 2008, a case was filed, but it doesn't tell me. 2008 and 2000. 2008, and 2008, he had petty theft, petty theft, petty theft, all pled at magistrate. 2009, he was dealing in stolen property, burglary, and failure on information to a pawn shop, so it's 3 felony convictions in that in 2009. He did 59 months in prison related to those charges. Trespass in 11, picked up a petty theft felony now in 2012. Petty theft in 15. Petty theft again in 15 again. Petty theft felony where he did 9 months in the county in 15. Petty theft, pled at magistrate. No, excuse me, no, that was a petty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 petty thefts again, one of which he did 364. Those were in 16, 17, and 18. Picked up a 2018 petty theft felony where unbelievably he got time served. Petty theft 18, trespass 18, disorderly conduct in 18, the disorderly intoxication in 18, trespass again in 18, petty theft misdemeanor time served. Then he picked up felony petty theft in 18 with 364. And he also had another felony petty theft. They were probably pled out at the same time, 364. And then a misdemeanor misdemeanor petty theft in 2019, and then that brings us into today.
All right, with this, and even with this current arrest, it's not just the theft, is the violence, and the store, the store personnel did ask him to return the item, and he turned her and told, "What the F you looking at? I'll punch you in the face." And then later, while he's in custody, he's saying all kinds of things about what he was going to do to the store employees. So at this time, I am going to deny the request for ROR, and I'm going to leave the bonds in place at this time. All right. And then next we have Charles Johnson.
He's approaching, Judge. He's here in Maine. Come on up, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson was arrested on September 3rd, so he also has a second look at his bond status. He has a total of $1,500 in bonds.
Judge, he has a $1,500 bond on this third-degree felony. My understanding, Judge, is he contacted his mom. His mom's not in a position to post his bond, so he's asking to be released on pretrial release now. From what I remember with Mr. Johnson, when he spoke to me, he was working. He works for the city of Pompano in the irrigation department, and he's been there for 2 years. That is a good job. He doesn't want to lose it, Judge. He wants to be there to report first thing Monday, which he gets paid about $10 an hour doing that. So he's asking to be released under supervision.
How long have you been working at this job?
2 years.
All right. Well, don't answer. Don't say anything. This is just me ranting. If you have a good job, what are you doing out, per these allegations, going through people's cars? It just doesn't make any sense to me. All right. Does Mr. Johnson have any prior criminal history?
Misdemeanor from 2018, battery, criminal mischief. Yeah, but it looks like see what the disposition was. I'll be honest with you, it's got me stumped. I'll just say an unknown disposition. It's not declined, it was filed on, but I don't know what the abbreviation of VW, like problem general? It doesn't make any sense to me, but.
No, that doesn't make sense to you. I can't make sense of it.
It's something I've never seen in 28 years, so that's, as Seinfeld would say, someone who's never been in my kitchen.
Well, where does so Mr. Johnson is employed and he lives with whom?
Oh. His mother.
Well, because I don't understand this burglary at this time of the morning and going through cars, and these are just allegations, but I don't understand it, so, I'll release I'm gonna put Mr. Johnson on level 2 pretrial if he wants that, otherwise the bond will remain in place.
Let me ask. He says he wishes to do that, Judge.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Okay, to level 2 pretrial supervision. All right, and then Danaris Thomas.
He's approaching, Judge. He's here at me.
And Mr. Thomas was arrested on September 3rd. Is Mr. Thomas?
And Judge, I'll be upfront. I remember exactly what happened with Mr. Thomas. The court set a $10,000 bond. The state brought up the fact that he was out on a case on 3 burglaries in which the court imposed a magistrate judge imposed a $1,000 bond on each count. I don't know who the magistrate judge was. He's the co-defendant on the gentleman that was here just at the podium. Now, he lives in North Lauderdale with his mom. She's a single mother raising him and his 3 siblings, and she's not in a position to post his monetary bond. She's trying to do whatever she can. She's trying to call different friends and family. Judge, at this time, we're going to be asking the court to consider a bond reduction from $10,000 to $5,000. That's what we're asking for at this
All
time.
right, there must be a reason that I don't remember, so what's his history?
Well, he has a 2019 burglary charge that he was out on bond on that's been filed and pending, and then he picked up these current charges that are before the court.
Oh, all right, well, I'm gonna deny that. I'm gonna leave the $10,000 bond, because either I revoke the other bond, and I didn't revoke the other bond, so he's got a $10,000 bond. All right? All right, President Simeon?
Judge, I understand his bond may have been posted.
Mr. Simeon?
Yes.
All right, so
Is it?
check it out.
Where did Mr. Reedy get that information?
Somebody called me.
Oh.
I'm not exactly sure who it was, but that's what they told me.
All right, so Mr. Reedy got the information and didn't share it sooner. I don't know. So, Mr. Simeon, you're before the court for a driving while license suspended charge, and I find probable cause, and I've been told that your bond has been posted, okay?
Okay. So
Okay.
someone posted your bond?
All right.
Okay.
All right, everyone, is this the end of our dockets? All right, thank you very much.
Very long week.
I know. Have a good weekend.
You do the same.